I want to pivot here because I think we would be remiss, and I think it would be horrible if the people watching didn't get to get this granule of wisdom from you.
Okay,
which is the four. I don't know. Is it four things that make up a successful man? Yes, five that make him unstoppable. Your concept is very. Anyone who has had almost any kind of conversation with you and time with you has probably heard it.
Yes.
I want to give you the opportunity to sort of delineate.
Okay, and the reason why, I really like this, the breakdown. Me personally, I like the breakdown. So it's first, and it is, to me, it is an operating order, right? It is in this particular order. First off, would be humility. Second would be self-criticism or self-critical. Third would be honest. Fourth would be creative. And the fifth would be pretty much the culmination of those, but, arguably educated. Okay, educated. I really do believe that the first four set you up for the last, and you can utilize each one. But firstly, humility being first to me, because it really sets you up. It really puts you in a position. Humility puts you in a position to be able to absorb, right? To be able to take information in. If you hold any rigid views concerning any particular thing that has not proven itself to be valuable to society or to a larger community, you hold yourself to those rigid points, you'll lose your ability to properly reason, right, and get a clear-cut understanding as to what's going on. So humility prevents all of that. Humility causes, really helps you to be in a state of homeostasis, right? Which we spoke about earlier. Number two is self-critical, right? Being able to critique yourself first. Okay? Being able to look at yourself and say, okay, I need to make this change. I need to go in this direction. But an honest critique of yourself, because look, if you could be, and again, that's kind of like throwing in the third already. Honesty. And the purpose for honesty is so that when you critique yourself, you'll be honest about your critique, right? Because oftentimes if a person is not honest about the critique of themselves, they won't critique themselves enough, which is pride, or they critique themselves too much, which is depression. But if you could get that balance, honest working balance, of the critique of yourself, then you can move forward. And if anybody, one of the great things that kind of like bulletproofs you or makes you unstoppable in that aspect is if anybody says anything to you about how they perceive you to be, you're already in the habit of critiquing yourself. So, because oftentimes what you find is people don't want to look at themselves in the mirror, They don't want to look at themselves like, wow, is that what people think of me? Or, but if you're honestly critiquing yourself, what somebody says about you won't be a surprise. And number two, you'll be used to making changes, with yourself. The reason why I have creativity as number 4 is because in problem solving, of which we do have to be problem solvers, which is, again, another conversation. But in problem solving, oftentimes the most creative will be able to come up with the quickest resolution to a problem. So being creative, you could consider it as, we were talking earlier about people communicating. And one of the things that I was thinking about is handwriting can easily become a lost art. Something that's relegated to museums, just finding these things in museums, handwriting, because everything is so easily put into text
form,
video.
Right.
So and the last, educated.
Yeah, that's what I was
right?
just about to ask. Why? But why educated comes after creative? Why is that?
Creativity, right? Again, it sets the stage. It sets the stage, from my observation. Creativity sets the stage for a deeper saturation of information, right? It sets the stage for information to sink deeper into an individual, because if you're able to consider, right, and use similitudes, which, I mean, again, I've heard Yisro Hawkins say this in a number of instances. To think, consider, and to use similitudes is where the mind should be appropriately. You should be able to think, consider, and use similitudes appropriately. And so, and again, that's where the peaceful solution comes in, to offer the moral stance so that you can think, consider, and use similitudes on issues that won't be harmful to anybody. And now, again, that goes back to what we were talking about, concerning if someone's hurting themselves, big deal, they're doing it to themselves. But no, you're never doing it to yourself. It's always...
You're never just doing it to yourself.
You're never just doing it to yourself.
And it's always a sort of a snowball effect. And I think it's also that we have to understand that we also tend to not recognize the level of which we affect others.
Yes.
And how things affect others.
Because of the selfishness of society, right?
But what really stands out to me is the educated part.
Right.
Listen, guys, we are doing great things here at the Lamplight Productions. And you can be a part of it for the low price of $0 and 0 cents. Because all you got to do is subscribe. Ring the bell. Ding dong. You can't go wrong. Or don't. It's a free country. Do whatever you want. Though I don't know how you can live with yourself.